A very fun day here in Boulder as Peggy turns 100 years old. We got a chance to see her and Coach Prime interact in the press conference today. Not your typical game week presser, a little bit more fun.
Yeah, a little more fun. Peggy walks in and with Coach Prime and took a few questions about what all this means to her. And I had a chance to sit down with her a week and a half or so ago and just go visit her and wrote a story on that. But she's just so awesome to be around. You can't help but feel better about life when you're around Peggy. And it's just she brings so much of that energy and life, even at 100 years old. She's a lot of fun to be around.
The wind outside forced us in here by the ticket office, and the team store here is selling some Peggy merch.
So Coach Prime mentioned that they've got some merch, for those that want to celebrate Peggy as well. So here's one of the sweatshirts, if you can see that. I don't know if you have to show. Okay, show. You got that? Awesome. Okay, so that's one of the many items they have here. But some awesome things, to celebrate Peggy, and I'm sure a lot of Buff fans are gonna. Be buying those things because she's obviously meant a lot to a lot of Buff fans, and it was really a cool moment on Saturday, when the whole stadium sings "Happy Birthday" to Peggy, and she just, as she said, she keeps saying it. She was, "I can't believe I'm getting all this attention for just having fun," But that's exactly what she's done. And I did ask her one question when I met with her. I said, she started listening to games when Byron Whizzer White was playing. So I said, "So who's better, Whizzer White or Travis?" And she goes, "You can't ask me that." So I didn't get an answer on that one.
Well, yeah, you got a chance to go to her house for a feature on the Boulder Daily Camera recently. I got a chance to ask her a question today, which I'd have to really sit down and rank it, but this might be high on the list of people that I've gotten asked a question to in this line of work. But it's great because it reminds you of how special college football is. Yeah. In this new portal era, NIL era, I know some people are disenfranchised with kind of the trend of college football, but stories like that are what make it different than a lot of other sports in this country, and why so many people just attach their heart to a program like CU and Peggy. It's been so fun to just have this goal for the team to get her to a bowl game, and it's looking like she's going to get to a pretty good one.
Yeah, Coach Prime actually asked her. He had the last question. Yeah. He said, "What bowl game do you want to go to?" And she said, "Whichever one they give us to, give it to us." And so, she's excited for that. I did ask her. Coach Prime said that he's going to get her on the private jet to get to a bowl game, and she hasn't flown anywhere in a long time. She didn't know when I told her that Coach Prime had said that. So she's hoping to be able to go. So let's hope that she makes it to the bowl game. She's earned it. The Buffs have earned it.
Yeah, and obviously with Colorado getting prepared for Kansas, you've got a lot to play in front of you, but this team has really seemed to buy into that one game at a time mentality.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, it's one of the, I think, trademarks of this team is that they really focus on what's in front of them and not looking ahead. And I think there's a lot of guys on this team that probably set that tone. And we talked to one of them today with Cam Silman Craig. I think he's very much this is the opponent. We're not worried about next week. And he's been asked about like the end of his career coming up, and he's been very like, I'm just looking at this week's game, and I think Shador does that, and Travis and guys like that. And so I think they take that mentality, and it's worked for them for the better part of 10 games, really.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy Horn Jr., it sounds like if he can run later this week, Coach Prime wants to get him out there because he said that him being out there is a difference maker. Yes. And so, that's something that as a CU player is trying to get back in the locker room here, that's going to be a big jolt for them. There's just a different level of explosiveness out of his game that really does aid this offense. Michael Welsh, it sounds like he's going to be back this week. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what this offense is missing right now. That second back to go with Isaiah Gustav that can really start to get this to be back to what it was a few weeks back when you're looking at the final box score and you're in that 120 to 150 rushing yards as a team. If you can do that, again, this team is just going to be unbeatable, I feel like.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that Micah, he had that gear, and just his running style, something that we saw that was very different than the other guys. And Dallin Hayden has been struggling a little bit, but I would like to see a 1-2 punch of Isaiah and Micah. I thought Charlie looked really good. He only ran the ball once, but looked good on that one run. They and Dallin can do it too. They got to get these guys going. But I think that having that fourth guy, having Micah available, I think is a big deal.
And what are the keys do you look at with this team going out to Kansas City? Because, this is a Kansas team that we'll get further into this as we get in the week, but they're kind of middling in the Big 12, but much better in recent weeks.
Yeah, Kansas over the last month, I think, is playing like we thought Kansas would, and really if you look at like the last month who the best teams in this conference are, I think I'd put CU at the top, and I'd put Kansas pretty close to there. I mean, Arizona State would be up there. Kansas might be up there. I think they're 3-1 their last 4 games, and the one loss was to Kansas State on the road, and they lost on I don't know if it was last second, but it was a last-minute field goal. So they're playing really good football. The Buffs have got to come ready. I mean, they've got to have that one game at a time mentality and come ready to play. I love the fact that there's now a history of them going on the road and not only playing well but playing really well. Mm-hmm. And so they got asked a little bit about going to Arrowhead in an NFL stadium. I don't think these guys care. I don't think they care where the game is. I think they're just whatever. Let's just go play some football. And I think the opposite. We've seen that they thrive in those environments. I mean, the last road game, what was it, Arizona? No, it was Texas Tech. And they were talking about, hey, we love it. If they're not booing us and throwing things at us, then we don't feel comfortable. Yeah. So we like this, and so they'll be just fine.
We got a chance to talk to Dron Miller as well, who had one of the more impressive touchdowns this season, just really willing himself into the end zone. He has gotten compared to Deebo Samuel, who is his favorite player. Yeah. It's cool that Deebo reached out to him on social media and kind of gave him a nod of I see what you're doing out there in Boulder. And he's got a different game than it feels like guys in this program. And I thought Cam Michael would be pretty similar, and he came in as a true freshman as well. Unfortunately, Michael's been hurt, but Dron Miller's been able to seize this opportunity he's gotten this season.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot of fun when both those guys are available to play. But, Dron Miller has been phenomenal, and he's been sort of that spot role throughout the season, and you like to see him. I think he started twice at running back. So he's been that spot role. It was good to see him have that breakout performance. 2 big catches, and the touchdown was impressive because I think it was like 10 yards, about the 10-yard line, that the Utah guy starts to tackle him, and he sort of dragged him for about 7-8 yards, and then goes to the end zone. So he's a fun guy to watch. He sort of reminds me a little bit of a LaVisca in that he can do a little bit of both, and he's got some power as well as that speed and can catch the ball. So I don't know if he's the closest thing to LaVisca, but and LaVisca was obviously really, really good, next level by the time he left here. He's got some work to do, but Dron reminds me of that mold.
Yeah, and LaVisca had a limited role his freshman year here too as well. So we'll see how Dron continues to develop here. On the other end of that, a guy that's coming to the end of his career. Well, it could be a few months from now that we're seeing this team continue to win football games. But Cameron Silman-Craig, we've heard that he's the heartbeat of this defense. He exudes positivity, and he is, I feel like, kind of on some level the epitome of kind of that underdog mentality within this team. Even though they've got so many guys that came in with a lot of stars by their name, they've kind of adopted almost that Silman-Craig mentality defensively.
Yeah, you would have to put him as one of the candidates for their defensive player of the year.
And the Buffalo Heart Award as well.
Right. Buffalo Heart Award would be up there. He's a guy that, as I've watched the Big 12, he should be first team all-conference in the Big 12. I don't know if he will be because I think guys like Travis and Shador are overshadowing some of these guys, but Cam Silman-Craig has been an all-conference player this year. And he's 5th in the country right now in solo tackles, and that's legit. Like you watch him play, and there's a lot of solo tackles being made by that guy because he's just where the ball needs to be, or where the ball is, where he needs to be.
Yeah, if you just want to show a want-to factor in a player and try to show film of a guy to a young football player, this is how you should play the game. Yeah. You want that all 22 with Cameron Sumlin Craig, because there are plays where it doesn't look like he can make a play, but he's always giving 100% effort. I mentioned the Buffalo Heart Award. There's a lot of candidates for that. I mean, Shedeur Travis, Cam, Levante Bentley would be probably high on my list, and that's something that's awarded after the final home game, so I guess we'll get into that next week. But there are so many good stories on this football team.
Well, and that award is going to be interesting because it's always been a guy that that fans grew up watching, right? That was here for 4 or 5 years, because it's typically been. I don't think it has to be a senior, but it's typically gone to a senior and a guy that's been here for a lot of years, and it's going to be interesting in the transfer portal era, because you don't have guys that have been here for 4 or 5 years. And the one guy that would be that right now would be Trevor Woods, but he decided to redshirt. And so, yeah, we could probably talk about this more going to Oklahoma State, but like as you think about that award, Cam's got to be up there. There's so many guys that that you mentioned that, Charlie Offerdahl, if he was a senior, I mean, maybe now as a junior. He epitomizes that award, more than anybody probably. So, there's a lot of candidates for that one.
All right, a fun day in Boulder. Happy birthday, Peggy.